Hello, friends, and welcome back. My name is Sammy George, and it's been a hot minute since I've been live. So I hope you guys all had a wonderful holiday. I hope you're surviving in whatever temperatures you're in. We have been off school for days due to snow days, cold weather days. Our family was ravished with the flu, and I'm just coming out of it. But it felt like a good day to do some makeup. But today we're going to go... What do we have here? Today we're gonna go to the basics. We have a lot of new faces here. Seint has launched to the UK, and it feels like an ideal time to talk about what in the heck is this one compact makeup? Why do I teach it a little bit differently? I would say welcome to the nuanced side of the internet if you're here, where my goal is to always teach you what works for you, why we do the certain things that we do, like what makes makeup work and where there are some hardships, as opposed to just kind of a one size fits all, slap it on and go method. But I can show you that too, because the beauty of makeup is that you can do a lot of different things on a lot of different days. And especially when it comes to cream foundation, you can play and you can learn, and I encourage you to do so, because you may try methods that you thought just weren't for you, and it turns out on your Friday, just a little bit of makeup day, you actually love this certain method. So if you are new here, I typically teach and attract people who have real skin. Imperfect skin. Now, my skin is so much better than when I started teaching this makeup 2 or 3 years ago now. I've been wearing it for 4 or 5. I have done deep dives into what else is on the market, because a lot has changed since Seint launched 7 or 8 years ago. Makeup has come so far, and what I have found is that while there are some beautiful things out there, my preference is still one compact of makeup I can take on the go, that I can wear a multitude of different ways, that actually gives me coverage without being super heavy, without being cakey. It just me, but a little bit more confident when I have this redness. I have dealt with significant hormonal acne, and typically I attract women that are post-children that have noticed significant changes in their skin, all the way up to ladies in the 70s, their 70s and 80s, who are dealing with discoloration, sunspots, hyperpigmentation, dark under eyes, all of the things, because my niche with this makeup is color, and color is king when it comes to makeup. So I teach it a little bit differently than what you traditionally will see on the internet. I teach it a little bit more nuanced, because my goal when I started this was to teach people how to effectively wear affordable makeup for their kind of aging skin, not to sell a buttload of makeup. So we've taken the low and slow route of education over just kind of throwing things out there, hoping to attract. And my goal is always to teach. So if you are new here, that's me. I'm 42 years old. Like I said, my skin is improved, but I do have hyperpigmentation. I have a scar on my nose, constant redness on my chin, and I'm going to teach you the traditional method of this is how Seint was started, this is where you put the makeup, and then why I do it a little bit differently, so that you can try different things, you can see how simple and easy and effective it can be, and you can get, hi friend, and you can get different looks for when you're feeling different things. So if you are new to Seint was started 7 or 8 years ago as kind of a solution to highlighting and contour for the everyday woman. And highlight and contour is kind of a lot more popular now than it was then. Why do we highlight and contour? So that we avoid that one flat look all over the face. Our face naturally has dimension. Like as I sit here, you can see that I have these natural shadows in my cheekbones, underneath my jawline. You'll see a natural shadow down my nose. And when we mute all of that out, we don't look like ourselves. We lose the bone structure that naturally exists in the face. So our founder's goal was to create a simple, affordable one palette, like grab this little bad boy and go makeup system that the normal, average, everyday person could use and love at an affordable price point. So when you get started with Seint, you can pick your little palette size, okay? I love the big one because I love all the things. We have eyeshadows. We have endless lip and cheeks. You guys, we have a huge, exciting, super fun launch coming on the 30th. We have just launched to the UK. So if you are in the UK, we now are available in the US, Canada minus Quebec, and the UK. And we're expanding. We're next heading to Australia and Mexico. So there is a lot of exciting things coming, and I hope you'll follow along. If you are new to my page, I do have a newsletter that I send out typically once a month. So I will send it out to you. If you've received a color match, you are a client, or you've already requested it, you are on the list. But if you'd like to request the newsletter, please feel free to do so. That will have all the information about the party that's coming on the 30th. And it contains both exciting new products that I thought I would never see, like mascara and an eyelash comb and all sorts of fun things, more than one eyelash curler for different preferences, but also some very trendy and on point blush colors that we have been missing that people are gonna love. So I'm so excited for that. I ordered all of it. I'm hoping it comes before the 30th so I can show it all to you. You know I will. I will give you all the details. We'll swatch it. We'll see what it looks like, all the things. But let's get back to basics. So when Kara created this makeup, she decided, and she was given the opportunity to go into stores like Anthropologie and whatnot, and she decided she wanted to make this. It's an affiliate program where people would be able to teach it, because you have these tins of makeup that are very pigmented. And this is why I recommend you do not get your own color match, because this is like pure pigment, okay? And when people ask me like, oh, can you show me the different colors? It's never going to look like this on your face, okay? Because we wear it so very sheer and so very lightly. These creams blend out like a dream. That's why I don't do swatches of the highlight shades, and that's why you don't want to go online and try and match yourself, or honestly, Seint hasn't nailed the swatch game. So get a color match. You'll tell me how you like to wear your makeup, what your makeup goals are, what your struggles are, and you'll send me a makeup-free selfie just like this. I'm facing a natural light window. I have no lights on in my house, so there are no, like, see what happens here when you have like a light or a shadow over top? Like, ooh, look at those under eyes. And they look so much better in natural light, right? So you want to stand in front of a window about 3 feet back so the sun isn't blasting on your face. Take a picture, attach it to your color match. 24 to 48 hours later, I will send you back a color match with lots of details. Like I said, I'm a details girl. I'm a teacher by trade, by heart. It's my goal here. So it may seem overwhelming, but I promise you, if you follow along with the videos and the step-by-step guide that's created, you're gonna be a master of makeup in no time at all. So what you're gonna get is magnetized tins. You guys, these are only $16 a piece. So you will be able to magnetize your tins in, and you can pop them out if you want to change out your blush colors, your eyeshadow colors, or if you're somebody whose skin tone changes in different seasons, which mine changes when I self-tan, mine changes in the summer. I'm like 4 shades darker in the summer, and for $16, I can pop in my new shade, pop out my old one, and it'll be there for when my pigment in my skin goes back down. So it's very affordable, but here's a pro tip. You get a discount on your palette, like your physical palette, based on how many makeup tins you purchase. So when I made my first order, I bought like, I don't know, 6 tins or something like that. So I got a palette 8 just so that I could fit my 6 tins and get the cheapest palette that I possibly could with the amount of credit that I had. Think about it from this standpoint of you're probably not going to buy that many tins again for a long time. So if it's something that you want the ability to grow in, get a palette that's a little bit larger, that'll just cost you a couple dollars instead of maybe the free one that you gathered with the points that you have. And that way you'll have extra spaces for when you want to pick out new lip and cheeks, new eyeshadow colors, whatever it is, because it's all customized. You get to individually pick out what you like. Of course, I'll help you make recommendations. You know, we can put eyeshadow pairings together, whatever it is that you might like. But people really kind of become their own makeup artist in this. So give yourself a little bit of extra space in your palette, whatever your size preference is. We got triple deckers, we've got palette 4s, we've got it all. So when you get your color match, you're gonna see that you have these basic colors outlined, what you do with them, and then a video to go along with it. So I'm gonna show you today the very basics of how Seint's 3D foundation was created, and like how you put it on as just a basic Simple, simple. This is how Kara, the founder, created it. She created it with a foundation shade, a contour that gives coverage, and that is very different than traditional contours on the market. Most contours, especially right now, are really just like sheer blushes, right? They're very warm. Contour is meant to be cool. It's meant to be ashy. It's meant to give the illusion of the natural shadows that we have. Bronzer gives warmth. They're not the same thing, but the makeup industry has blurred the lines. However, a main highlight, meaning your foundation, a contour that gives coverage, and a brightener, which is something that we put into the center of the face. Highlight and contour is the game of light and dark. That's all makeup is we want to recede and pull back the areas of the face that we want to withdraw with contour, and then we add brightener to the center. Things that are light and bright pop forward, things that are dark and shadowed pull back. That's why contour like chisels the cheekbones, makes a large forehead look smaller, kind of helps you snatch a jawline right here where you have some added jowls, or you just want to chisel this out, because darkness will recede. So then we put brightener in the center and that pops forward. People are drawn to your eyes as opposed to maybe a larger forehead. If you're somebody like me, people like to tell me I have a 5 head, and they are not wrong, but I don't mind. We have contour for that, right? So when Kara created 3D foundation, she showed it in one layer. The goal is with makeup to wear the least amount of makeup that you can to get the most coverage that you are looking for. So her goal was, let me show people how to highlight and contour in one layer so they don't have a ton of makeup on their face and they still get good coverage. I teach it a little bit differently because what I have found is that most people end up applying more and more and more makeup if they have spots on their face like redness, dark under eyes, or things like that that are excess pigmentation, and they don't like the coverage. It feels heavy, it feels cakey, or quite frankly, it doesn't last all day. So people are typically attracted to me who aren't getting the coverage that they are looking for, or they're wearing a different makeup product and they don't like the way that it mutes out their face. They'd like to wear something a little bit lighter, a little bit more emollient, a little bit more hydrating, and that's the beauty of cream makeup. Cream makeup doesn't dry down on the face, meaning it acts as a second skin. It sits on your skin. It holds moisture in. The more moisture we hold in, the plumper our skin looks. With something like a liquid foundation dries down, the water evaporates throughout the day, we're left with pigment, and we're left with our skin looking more dehydrated, which is why people put a whole bunch of stuff underneath their makeup when they wear liquid foundation to try and keep that hydration in. You don't need to do that with Seint. Your natural moisture is going to stay in because this is going to act as a second skin. So before you ever get started, here's another pro tip for you. Make sure you don't have silicones in the products that you're wearing underneath your makeup. Not everybody has an issue with silicones, but most people do. So less is more under the makeup. If you use a lot of skincare under the makeup and you need it, and you still need it, even though this is gonna moisturize, go for it. But make sure it is silicone free. And there's lots of different endings for things that mean silicone, so you can always reach out to me and ask. I'll be happy to help you. But even your sunscreen, especially your primers. Primers in general are like silicone based. I can wear products that have silicone in them as long as they're not in like the top 5 ingredients. I don't have an issue, but I have clients who have an issue if they have any silicone. It basically just creates slippage, okay? And because this is moisturizing where liquid and powder are dehydrating, you don't typically need that primer. If you like it, great, but you don't need it. All right, so let me show you the basics. Right now, all I have on my face is I did use a serum this morning, and I have sunscreen, both silicone free. And then you guys, I have really been loving, this is the Plush Prep Mist. As you can see, I've gone through quite a bit because I love it. It has hyaluronic acid in it. It leaves your skin feeling dewy and hydrated. And honestly, I put it on before my makeup. Give it a second. You'll notice it adds a little bit of extra glow and a little bit of hydration without silicone in it. It has a little bit of a tack to it, so it helps, hi friend. So it helps the makeup stay without ever being tacky. But this is also something that you can use like 6-8 hours later after you put your makeup on. Let's say you want to do a little bit of refresh. Throw this on and just reblend your makeup. The beauty of cream is you can always work with it. It never dries down like a liquid does. It's always going to be able to be moved around and manipulated, and throwing something on like this is going to help you do that with ease. So let me show you. This is the typical brush that everybody gets. It's not my favorite. There's nothing wrong with it, except it's not always the most user-friendly because it picks up a lot of product. And I find that most people struggle when they start with this makeup because they apply too much. I myself was guilty of that. I was a powder girl until I had issues with my skin. I tried lots of different liquid foundations, just didn't love it. And then from there, I tried this, and this is the brush that was originally recommended to me. And it didn't go that great. So let me show you the concept of one layer highlight and contour, okay? So I'm gonna start with my contour around the perimeter of my face on this side. This is the typical method that you'll see that most people teach when it comes to this, because again, they're teaching the less is more, easy highlight and contour, and there's nothing wrong with this, but you will see as somebody who has redness in their cheeks, this is the ashiest, coolest contour color that we have, and it's still going to pull warm on me. It's still going to look red unless I start piling it on, which I don't typically want to do. But that's what I find most people do that are looking to get more coverage. Under the jawline, you can pull some down these parts of your neck right here. And there we have the basics of contour. We go around the forehead. If you have a mature face like I do and things are starting to sink in right here, don't put contour here. Darkness recedes. We don't want to hollow out the hollow even more. Just go ahead and stop here. Right here, you're going to follow your cheekbone underneath your jawline. Step 2. What they typically show is that you take the bunny end and you go into your brightest shade. And I don't use a very bright brightener, okay? And you kind of create this right here. Bring it down the nose. You'll see I have a scar here. It doesn't give good coverage and it's emphasizing texture. But the difference between what it looks like afar and then what you actually end up seeing when it's up close and personal, right? We already have an emphasis of texture there. But this is the one layer system that you typically teach, that you see people teaching, okay? Go down the center of the face and in the areas around the eye that you want to brighten. Basically, kind of starting to fill in some gaps, okay? Flip back over to this side. Now they go into their main highlight and fill in the rest. And then we'll just blend it all together. Again, there's nothing wrong with this method. I just don't typically get the coverage that I'm looking for, and I end up having to apply a lot and still have stuff peeking through. So if you do this method and you like it, rock on. Now, if you're gonna do this, you wanna blend from lightest to darkest. So I'm starting with my brightener. Going around, and I'm pressing, kind of stippling. Try to avoid this motion. You're just tugging on the skin, moving stuff around. Now flip over and let's just blend this in. Touch it up where we have our contour so that we don't have any harsh lines. You can also contour the nose to make it look a little slimmer. Sometimes people will use this little bunny end here and go down the top of the nose. Keep your brightener in the middle. Underneath. No harsh lines. And there you go. Then they grab this end, pull up a blush shade. Well, let's choose some bronzer first. When you bronze, you're kind of going wherever the sun would naturally give you a suntan first. And you can bring some down the neck just to make sure that everything's matching and we don't have a floating head. Same under the brush, blush. What color should we use today? Let's go with something with a little brightness in it. And an illuminator. Where is my illuminator? I don't think I have one in there right now. Here's an illuminator. It just adds a little bit of extra glow. And that can be it. One brush, one layer, still looks exponentially better than this side of my face. And I think that's the thing to remember, is that little illuminator here. Not every day has to be the same makeup application. So if you like this one layer, if you find it easy to draw on your face, the colors where they go so that you can have like simplified highlight and contour, absolutely go for it. And it's still gonna be better than my powder, than my liquid foundation, or any of the other things that I have found at this point in time. But let me show you how I do it a little bit differently over here to get the level of coverage that I like and to keep it a little bit lighter in my application, but also because throughout the day where I have this redness and like these acne scars, they will start to pop through. And here's why. Because when it comes to makeup, to truly get coverage, you want to match the overtones, okay? The saturation of color that you see first. It's kind of like the concept of it's pretty hard to cover, right, black with white paint, where you need to actually go in and use the correct like color theory to tone down that saturation, as opposed to thinking that this color that I'm going to put right here that matches my skin tone is going to give me the same level of coverage as it will right here unless I put on a whole bunch. Does that make sense? So the only thing that I do differently is I start with a color corrector, and my color corrector of choice is a highlight. Seint has demi color correctors for spot treatment. They work super well for like just doing little spots, but I don't find them to work as well for larger areas on the face like sunspots, hyperpigmentation, dark under eyes, things like that. And when I match you, I will match you to the color corrector that you need, and that'll be based on the depth of color that you have, what your skin tone is, different factors that I take in. But when in doubt, we always go darker, not lighter. That is the key to color that I think gets lost as we age. Because when we're younger, we just slap on the brightest concealer under the eye or pop something on a pimple. And if you've ever noticed how that emphasizes texture, well, now the darkest areas on our face are typically textured as well. So the lighter the product you put on a textured area, like an under eye, like this area where I have large pores, the more the texture is going to show. So the key for me, the reason that I went from liking this makeup to loving this makeup was when I started using a color corrector. So my order of operations, and this is how I teach it, this is what your color match looks like, this is what the video I look like sends you. It starts with the detail brush, the small end, a small amount of color corrector first. So for me, and for a lot of people, and it has a lot to do with the color formulation of this shade, I use Mango, and a lot of people use Mango. And what you're going to see is I'm going to tone down, and I'm just doing this like literally very light feather motion on the redness. I got a cold, my nose is super red, my chin is super red, and I always have this excess color in my cheeks. You may have very little color correction needs, and it may go like 2 seconds. Mine might take me a full minute. But I'm going to color correct and tone this down first. Then, when I reduce this redness and I put a neutral color on top, my contour is going to stay ashy looking. It's not going to pull warm. I can wear blushes that have orange in the undertone and not have them be like exacerbated red. So where most of my clients find me, typically it's on YouTube because they're searching like how to apply Seint makeup, how to get better coverage from my makeup. And this is the method I teach. And this is typically why people find me, because they're looking. I'll be honest, I've never had a single person message me and say, I have too much coverage, Sammy. It's always the opposite. I love the makeup. It's better than what I was using, but I don't have enough coverage. Can you help me? My original artist doesn't do this anymore. My original artist doesn't teach color correction, whatever it may be. And that's how people find me. And that's the nuance of my whole page. My goal is to teach you how to get the look that you want, not just sell you a 5-minute makeup routine. This makeup is super convenient. This whole thing is TSA approved. Like, it's super affordable. But at the end of the day, I also want it to be really effective. So what else? Maybe we'll press on a little bit more. And again, this is too warm, okay, to be worn alone. But it is the first step. So what do we do now? Now we go to the blush and bronzer brush. Yours is going to look like this. It's going to be white. This is 4 or 5 years old. That's the other amazing thing about the brushes. First of all, get the brushes. You're going to be disappointed with your application if you are using brushes that are not formulated for cream. If you feel like you have really high quality cream brushes, go for it. Just know these are specifically for this makeup, and the density of the bristles is different than anything I've used on the market. There's a reason why I recommend the brushes, and I always recommend that people start with these two because they can get any look they want with these guys in the simplest way possible. They're very new person friendly. I'm a brush girl. I love them all. I use them all, but I try and start you with the basics to get the look that you want, and then you can grow your brush collection from there. So what do we do now? Now, instead of carving out the face with contour, I'm gonna go into my main highlight, okay? And I'm just gonna press a little bit anywhere that I would wear foundation, including on top of where I color corrected. This is key. This color is specifically chosen by me, not only to match your skin tone, but to match your skin tone, taking into consideration the fact that I gave you a color corrector. Can you wear it without the color corrector? Sure. On a very quick day, maybe you want to do this method right here, you don't want to color correct at all, you can absolutely do that. But just know, on days when you want more coverage, you're going to be able to get it. So I like to press. Don't do this because we put our color corrector on strategically. So press this on anywhere you would normally wear foundation, including where you're going to contour. If you have redness in this area, we are now moving away from the one layer that it was created for, okay? Because this is how I get good coverage with minimal makeup. Over here, what ends up happening is people take this and they go over again and over again and over again, trying to get rid of this as it breaks up throughout the day. Where over here, you're gonna get lasting coverage and you don't have to wear layers and layers and layers of a shade that doesn't match, okay? Because this does not match the discoloration on your face. Press, press, press. If you get too heavy-handed, don't worry. We will fix it in our last step. Like right here, let's go in and color correct that. Because if I color correct the scar, you're not gonna see it anymore. Now it's gone. Press a little bit over top of my main highlight shade because I don't want my nose to look orange. But now the scar it's way better, right? I am maybe medium coverage is the heaviest I typically wear. So for me, a little bit of skin showing through, a little bit of discoloration, not a big deal. All the things that bother me popping through or my makeup separating throughout the day, that I don't love, okay? Next, I'm gonna contour. And let me show you. Take your detail brush, hold it on an angle. There's a reason why this is the detail brush for contouring, and it has a knife edge, and it's to make contour feel a little bit less scary. Typically when people, like I did over here, are swiping it on the face, it starts to look patchy and it starts to drag down, and then they get it too close here. So they're like, oh, I don't want to contour. I feel dirty, okay? Use this method. Go up to your ear, feel your cheekbone, stop at the outer corner, and just stipple on in that nice thin line. You have a lot more control. It's a lot less scary. And we're keeping it where we want it, which is the top of the ear, hugging that cheekbone, stopping at the outer corner of the eye. And now we do want to make sure it's blended, but we always want to blend our contour on our cheeks up because the goal is to lift and chisel the cheekbones, not drag the face down. And then if you want it more exaggerated, you can go in with a little bit more, but you'll see how much cleaner that looks than over here and how much more orange this looks here, and it's the same color. Forehead, I'm gonna use all the bristles. Tap, tap. And I'm just going to tap this on around my hairline. I'm gonna actually press it up into the hairline so I don't have any weird lines. I'm gonna stop here. Remember, this part of my face is already starting to recede. So if I put darkness somewhere that's already receding, it's gonna look more hollow. And I don't want it to look more hollow. Now, I have a large forehead. Here's a little trick for somebody with a large forehead. Find the peak of your brow and just add a little bit of darkness in this triangle here. And now you'll see we have more of a recession of color here. Makes the forehead look smaller, or at least makes this bright part of the face what you see first. Now I'm gonna tap in, go, whoop, jingle, jangle, back of the ear, underneath the jawline. Try not to go up top, okay? And pull it down the neck. Again, you can kind of create more of a defined neck here if you do that. And there are some secrets to concealing jowls. We'll leave that for another day. Okay, now let's move on to brightener. I'm gonna go to the small end of the detail brush. Less is more in areas of texture. This big bunny end that you typically see people using is super dense. It deposits a lot of product, and honestly, it's a little bit big for that area. That's why the same brush that we color corrected with, now I'm gonna take just a little bit, and I'm gonna be a little bit more discreet and just kind of tap this on, because this is high texture area for me. I did color correct my scar, so it's not as bad when I put a brightener on top. Kind of go in the T-zone. Now for the under eye, okay? Instead of going right here where I have all this texture, I already color corrected my darkness, and I put a very light layer of my main shade over top. So color is no longer an issue. I don't need my brightener to conceal darkness. I literally just want it to add life to the center of my face. So I'm gonna go underneath this bag and hug the side of the nose. And I don't go very bright with my brightener. You totally can. It's up to you. But since this is a highly textured area and I have large pores here, I'm gonna go here, down the side of the nose. Remember, brightness here and down the middle will make your nose look slimmer. Then I'm gonna go to the outer corner of the eye, again, highly textured, and I'm only tapping a little bit. I don't wanna have like this weirdness in between, so I'm just gonna use what's left on the brush to bring these two areas together. I'm gonna go where that hollow is and pop it out, because bright pops out. And now we have subtly added some brightness under the eye. We're not exacerbating the texture that we have. I have texture, it ain't going anywhere. And before we move on, this is the magic step. I recommend to every single person that they get the Perfector sponge. It is our beauty blender formulated to remove excess cream. It's not for applying liquids, it is for removing excess cream, and it will blur your lines together. If you're ever heavy-handed, it's like the tool that you need. So you put it under cold water when you're washing your face or whatever you're doing, rinse it out. Now it is cool and damp. It is not wet, but it is not dry, okay? And all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pounce it, and this is gonna act like my blurring filter. It's gonna bring together anything, like people are scared to contour because they're worried their contour line is gonna look too pronounced. This is gonna help blur that out. Anywhere that I'm prone to creasing, I have intense smile lines, highly textured under eyes, and this is just gonna blur everything together nicely, and you'll see it pulls off that little bit of excess that's there. If you pull off too much, you can always go in and spot treat. What I'm gonna do now, before I move on to bronzer, lip and cheek, or illuminator, is I am going to, where did I put my powder? Right here. I'm gonna set my areas where I'm prone to creasing, and I'm gonna use our Vanilla Dust setting powder. We have a powder brush, you can use a puff, it's really a matter of your preference. I like to take this kind of large doe foot side, and in areas where I have a lot of texture, I'm not gonna put a ton. What this is gonna do is it's gonna set your cream. Remember, cream doesn't set. It's emollient, it doesn't dry down. This is going to help keep it exactly where you put it. It's also going to, one tap, mattify that area a little bit. Most people don't want, at least at my age, their under eye to be super glowy because glow emphasizes texture. I'm gonna put it where I have large pores. Again, light reflects, so I wanna reduce that light there. Smile lines and around the mouth. Areas that I wanna keep glowy, basically everything else. In the summer, I'll do a little bit more in my T-zone. And if you need a loose powder because you're very oily, I can make some recommendations. This is a translucent setting powder. It works really well unless you are very, very oily, and then we might need to get you something a little bit more. Now we have glow. We have good coverage. You can see our contour looks a little more chiseled where it's a little more drugged down here. And it's not all that different right now, but it will be in 4 hours. This one's gonna last much longer than this one's gonna last. That's just the nature of this makeup. Bronzer. I'm a bronzer girl. Bronzer adds warmth. Something to note, as we age, we lose pigmentation in our skin. So people are very afraid of bronzer because they're worried they're gonna look orange. We wanna add a little bit of warmth back into our skin, which is why as we get older, try and get a little bit more adventurous with your lip and cheek colors, with wearing bronzer. You don't have to do anything crazy bright, but we do want to add warmth and pigmentation back into our skin. And you can easily do that with bronzer, or like people think I'm crazy when I recommend lip and cheek colors that look like this, but that's this right here. These are very, very buildable. They are highly pigmented when you swatch them. That's why I tell you, like, if I were to swatch this and be like, this is the shade, you'd be like, no, it's not. But look at what it looks like applied. Just this like subtle warmth to the skin. That's why swatches, they kind of stink. That's why it's so much easier if you can see it on somebody's face. So always reach out if you need any color recommendations, if you need me to swatch something and then actually show you like, what will it actually look like on the skin? Oh, it'll look more like this down here. All right. So this is actually Xanadu. It's our newest bronzer. It's a bronzer with glow illuminator mixed into it. It's my favorite. I would say pretty much everybody's in love with it, but you could certainly just get one that doesn't have any. This has a little bit of a sheen to it, a little bit, but you could get one without. And I'm going right next to my contour line. And I'm just hugging my contour line. We want to make sure that we use our perfector before we do bronzer, before we do lip and cheek, because bronzer, lip and cheek, and illuminator, those are all sheer formulations where your highlights, your color corrector, and your contour are all formulated for coverage. So if you do your perfector at the end, it will pull off those sheer ones. So just do it in between. So now I've used my bronzer, and I'm going to add just a little bit of my lip and cheek. And you want to start 2 fingers away from the nose and smile. So here, and then hit that outside apple of the cheek so that even when your face lowers, it's still actually in line with your nostril. If you start down here, you want to keep your blush above, not below that nostril, and then you can hug that contour line. Remember, we are mobile people. So a lot of times people will tell you like, go right here if you want it to be full, or just go here if you want there to be a lift. You kind of want to find a happy medium because you're going to be moving your face throughout the day. And you don't want to have just blush here or just blush here. And here's a little thing, a little trick for you. Our blush is going to tone down. All blush does. Blush is the first thing to go. So if you are a little bit heavy-handed, leave it for a little while, 5-10 minutes. Like right now, it's a little bit brighter than I would want it, but I know in like 5 minutes, it's going to be really close to this. Let's say 5 minutes goes by and it's not. Grab your perfector. Where did I put mine? Grab your perfector. You can pounce it. Remember what I said? It's going to start to pull off those sheer products. It'll pull off some of that excess. Or go back to your main highlight shade, tap just a little bit on, and just mute it out a little bit. Again, here and up the contour line. And go up here. Now I'm going to grab my illuminator, which I had in my other palette. Illuminator, it just adds glow. You want to go to that very top of the cheekbone. You can pop some on with your finger, with your perfector, with your brush, whatever your preference is. And now you have just that little bit of extra glow. Our lip and cheeks are both lip and cheeks. I don't typically wear an orange like this color on the lips. So I'll go into something a little bit more neutral, like, I want to look good with that. You know what I used yesterday? Where is it? Here. Wait, is this what I used? This is either a Frenchie. I think this is Frenchie, which is a little too, which makes me look a little too washed out on the lips. But what you can very easily do is grab a lip liner or your contour. Line your lips for definition. And then you can add, so if something is too muted or too cool, you could just add something that is a little bit warmer, a little bit more pigmented. This is La Cienega. It just has a little bit of pink, and it is a gloss, which I prefer a gloss finish. Has some gold in it, and that feels much better. But that's it, you guys. Welcome back. We're back to doing lots of makeup, showing lots of makeup looks, helping in any way that I can. Like I said, if you're new here, welcome. If you need help, I'm happy to color match you. If you are in the UK, welcome to the party. And do not forget, if you need the newsletter, just comment that you need the newsletter below. If you're catching this on YouTube, I'll put the link to sign up to the newsletter in the description. And January 30th, that's the big day. That is the big day of the newest release, which includes 3 mascaras, 2 eyelash curlers, a new brow product, 4 trendy and gorgeous lip and cheeks, new palettes, I can't even remember, new brush, a new lash brush, which is available now. Hi, I know. If you place an order, even right now, of $60 or more, there is a free brand new brush with purchase. So hopefully those brushes make it to the party on the 30th, but my products are en route. Let's hope that they are here before the launch so I can show you all the goodness. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Always reach out with questions, and we'll see you again soon. Are the palettes coming in smaller sizes? The palette that is coming, so there are 3 palettes coming. 2 are pro palettes, and 1 is a palette 2. One of the updates that we got, so here's some interesting insight. When Seint transitioned over to an affiliate program in October, they brought somebody on to be the direct liaison to affiliates. And one of the things that they're going to be doing is launching more palettes in more designs in less sizes more frequently. So this first launch is what's considered pro palettes. So these are for the makeup girlies. They are 40s. There are 2 of them, and then a 2 for people that want to put the combo in their purse. So those are the ones that are coming on the 30th. What's coming next? The world may never know. We only get like 7 days notice when new things come. Just enough time to place a pre-order, hopefully get it in time, and then, yeah. So don't worry, girl. Palettes galore will be coming. But yeah, now we have at least a little bit more insight. So that's the insight that we have. And if you are somebody who is new to Seint or is unfamiliar with the rewards program, they have a very traditional like makeup rewards program like you would have with like, what else? Like Dibs has theirs, you name it, lots of rewards programs out there. Your rewards last 6 months. So if you started making purchases in October when we went to the new rewards program, keep in mind, it's the colors for me. You're going to love one of the colors that's coming in the big one. You're going to love it. Like a lot. Sorry. So when you are a new customer to Seint, you get your first bundle of rewards, and then you get rewards for every purchase that you make. Your rewards go towards either dollars off makeup or unique products that are available only on the rewards site. So remember that if you started making purchases under the new reward system in October, keep an eye out. Come March, those are going to be like whichever ones you got in April, those are going to expire in March. So you may want to think about using those for the release. Okay, guys, have a great day.